Of the Chicago Bulls is here in Oxford, and he has some advice for future sportscasters.
Coming up, NewsWatch reporter Brianna Bynum gives you the play-by-play on what Chuck Swirsky has planned for his Ole Miss visit.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Lauren Cunley.
And I'm Cassidy Biss.
Tonight, the Overby Center is holding a special presentation on those interested in becoming a sports reporter. Radio play-by-play host for the Chicago Bulls, Chuck Swirsky, will be the guest speaker. Swirsky has been a part of the Chicago Bulls organization for 10 years and was the play-by-play announcer for the Toronto Raptors when the team was first created as well.
Swirsky was also a notable collegiate caller for the Michigan Wolverines and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Chuck is currently at the Overby Center, where he will address students later this evening.
NewsWatch reporter Brianna Bynum joins us live with Chuck to tell us more. Brianna?
Thanks. I'm here at the Overby Center with Chicago Bulls radio announcer Chuck Swirsky. Chuck, thank you for joining us.
Brianna, thank you.
Now, you're a successful sportscaster. In just a few minutes, you'll be speaking to students who may want to do what you do. What are some things that you will share with them?
Well, number one, thank you for the compliment. I'd like to share from my heart about the industry, about sports broadcasting, about perseverance, about the joys and struggles of sports broadcasting, and the compilation of what I've gone through as a sports broadcaster. Maybe I can share some knowledge with some very exciting, intelligent young people.
That's great. So why is it important for you to speak at events like these, sharing what you've learned in your career?
I think that's exactly right. I mean, it's all about sharing. It's all about giving back. And I remember as a young student when I was attending college that I would have given anything to hear a news anchor, a sportscaster, somebody that deals with Mother Nature and weather on a daily basis, to pick their brain, to ask questions, to find out about that mountain they're about to climb. So I'm very grateful to Will Norton and to everyone associated with the University of Mississippi to be here this week.
Okay, so you'll be here all week long. So I know it's only Tuesday, but what have you done so far while you were on campus?
Well, it's been exciting. I've spoken to a number of people. I've been a guest speaker and instructor at 2 classes. I've already met individually with a number of students already in the last 36 to 48 hours, which has been very encouraging for me, because actually I learn more from them than maybe they probably learned from me. But I've had a wonderful time. I love Oxford.
Well, I'm sure you'll enjoy the rest of your stay here in Oxford. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Reporting from the Overby Center, Brianna Bynum, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
Thanks, Brianna. An Ole Miss student has been charged in a hit-and-run incident on campus early Saturday morning. John Walston, an 18-year-old freshman, turned himself in to the university police on Monday. The victim was a female freshman at Ole Miss. She was struck by Walston's car while crossing the road near the intersection of Northgate Drive and Sorority Row around 2 a.m. on Saturday. The victim was transported to Memphis for her severe injuries. Walston's bond is set at $15,000.
If you haven't cast your vote for this year's campus personality elections, there is still time. Ole Miss students can log on to their My Ole Miss account and vote for Mr. and Miss Ole Miss, Homecoming Queen, Campus Favorites, and Homecoming Classmates. Once you log into My Ole Miss, click the Student tab and then find the Get Involved tab. Under that, you can click Vote in Student Elections and cast your vote. You have until 7 p.m. tonight to make your selections. Winners will be announced in the circle tonight around 8 p.m. The Morning Joe show that was taped right here in Oxford pushed Mississippi into the national spotlight with our Senate races. Both Mississippi U.S. Senate seats are up for grabs on November 6th, and one of those seats is expected to be decided 3 weeks later in a runoff. A clip posted of the U.S. Senate candidate Mike Ipsy had 22,000 views by Sunday night, which doesn't include the tens of thousands of views by those who watched the show live or online. Epsy's 10-minute interview brought his platform into the living rooms of thousands of Americans who make Morning Joe one of the most watched cable shows in the morning.
The county business complex and multi-purpose arena have reached its halfway point of completion. A progress report on the construction was presented during Monday morning's meeting of the Lafayette County Board of Supervisors. The 330-day project is at 47% completion. The business center and arena will be located off County Road 406 on 50, of 106 acres owned by the county. The completion date for the center and arena are set for March 5th, 2019. Ole Miss is asking the Oxford community to help select a book that will be read by the class of 2023 for the Common Reading Experience. The community is urged to participate because suggestions are desired to be from a diverse group. The book must be less than 400 pages, written by a living author, and published within the last 5 years. Nominations will be received through November 6th.
An award-winning golf player visited campus yesterday and spoke to the audience about the desegregation of golf in the South. NewsWatch reporter Anjanita Williams joins us in the studio with more. Anjanita?
Thanks, Cassidy. Pharrell Evans talked about his personal experiences as an African-American golfer, a topic he said is not often addressed. Pharrell Evans was a guest speaker at an event on the Ole Miss campus. Evans is a golfer, journalist, and co-founder of a nonprofit foundation in New York City that uses golf to improve the lives of young men of color.
Overall purpose of the event was this is a part of a series on sort of sports and society, and my talk was about golf and golf and race in the South. And so this brown bag was to share and discuss this with people.
Evans has a few motives that are the leading forces responsible for making him who he is as a golfer as well as a person.
For love of service, history, and those are the main things. That's in my family. That's where I learned all this responsibility to use what you have for good.
Evans not only plays golf, but he has written for Sports Illustrated magazine and also ESPN.com. Lauren, Cassidy, back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Anjanita. Coming up, find out which famous former athlete just donated a large sum of money and how it will be used to help Hurricane Florence victims.
And stay tuned to see what happened at the Inter-Korean Summit today and how this could help establish peace on the peninsula. But first, Delia Vandeveld has your first look at the current conditions.
Hey there, Oxford, and happy Tuesday. This week we are looking at some high humidity, warm temperatures, and a chance of rain moving in towards the end of the week. As we take a look at the current radar image, you can see that Oxford has no rain in the area. Stay tuned later for a full report coming up on Stormwatch.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Greg, come on man, let's split a ride home.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Hi, Krista. Take you, Jamie, to be my wife. When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said she won't be taking you in as a client.
We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to.
At least 34 people across 3 states have been killed during Hurricane Florence. Now a post-tropical cyclone throws her final punch across the Carolinas and Virginia. Officials continue to warn that the disaster is still far from over. Residents from Fayetteville, North Carolina are being ordered to evacuate as 2 rivers in town continue to rise. First the wind, then the rain and flooding. Now, tornadoes. That's the latest devastation brought on by Hurricane Florence, this time in Virginia, where at least 6 different counties were affected by multiple tornadoes yesterday.
Unfortunately, here at Old Dominion Flooring, 1 employee is confirmed deceased, and we have our crews on scene that will be working to recover the body here shortly.
As Florence dissipates as it moves northeast, it will drop a final few inches of rain in the already waterlogged region.
We've been preparing for and living through Hurricane Florence for more than a week now. But this remains a significant disaster that affects much of our state.
Once the rain stops, the water will continue to rush downstream, causing catastrophic and historic river flooding, according to the National Weather Service.
The next few days will be long ones as the flooding continues.
More than 2,600 people and 300 animals have been rescued in North Carolina alone. And one of the biggest concerns, this river, which is actually parts Interstate 40 and I-95, major arteries through the state that have been cut off, and officials can't say exactly for how long until the water goes away. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper confirmed all deaths in the state yesterday during a press conference. The North Carolina Department of Public Safety has released a breakdown of deaths per county. 6-time NBA champion Michael Jordan has donated $2 million to Hurricane Florence relief. The current Charlotte Hornets owner grew up playing high school basketball in North Carolina, ultimately beginning his career at the University of North Carolina in 1981. And after seeing the damaging effects of the hurricane, he knew that he wanted to give back. The large donation will be split evenly between the American Red Cross and the Foundation for the Carolinas Hurricane Florence Response Fund. To assist residents, also, more 100 members of the Hornets organization will help pack disaster food boxes.
Judge Brett Kavanaugh will soon hear from his accuser. Next week, President Trump's Supreme Court nominee will testify about assault allegations from decades ago. The woman accusing Kavanaugh will also appear before the panel. Judge Brett Kavanaugh will soon have to face questions about his past. The Supreme Court nominee will testify to a Senate panel Monday about an alleged assault from the early 1980s. His vote for the High Court was originally scheduled for Thursday.
We want to go through a process. We want to make sure everything is perfect, everything is just right.
This will probably shock the White House, but I agree with President Trump when he said a delay is not going to hurt anything. We should have a delay, get all the facts.
Kavanaugh's accuser, Professor Christine Blasey Ford, is also set to testify.
She knew that she was going to be, her allegations were going to be outed, and that, in fact, is what occurred, and as a result, she decided to take control of this and tell this in her own voice.
Ford says Kavanaugh assaulted her while the two were in high school, saying he pinned her down and tried to undress her. Kavanaugh denies the allegations.
For too long, women have made serious allegations of abuse and have been ignored or dragged through the mud. It would be a disgrace if this body and our fellow Republicans let that happen.
An accusation of 36-year-old misconduct dating back to high school has been brought forward at the last minute in an irregular manner.
Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, a Republican from Iowa, said in a statement yesterday that Ford deserves to be heard. China has fired back at the U.S. after President Trump hit China with the biggest wave of tariffs yet. The Chinese government said today that it would impose tariffs on U.S. goods worth $60 billion following the Trump administration's announcement that it was hitting hard with $200 billion worth of Chinese goods with new tariffs. More than 5,000 U.S. goods will be affected, including meat, nuts, alcohol, chemicals, clothes, machinery, furniture, and auto parts.
South Korean President Moon Jae-in traveled to North Korea today for the third Inter-Korean Summit this year. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un greeted and hugged the President Moon Jae-in. The summit marks the first time since 2007 that the South Korean president has traveled north of the DMZ. Moon and Kim vowed to bring an end to the Korean War during their first summit meeting. The fighting ended 65 years ago, but the war has never been formally ended with a peace treaty. Visa and MasterCard, along with a group of top U.S. banks, have agreed to the largest antitrust settlement ever. They will pay as much as $6.2 billion in a class action settlement with U.S. retailers over swipe fees, which are the fees paid by retailers when they accept credit card payments. The merchants claim Visa and MasterCard violated antitrust laws by fixing prices to benefit the banks. The new resolution represents a $900 million increase over the previously rejected settlement from 2012, but it still requires approval by the court. Major retailers like Walmart, Target, and Kroger have opted out of this new deal, but the new settlement will still help to bring more money to smaller merchants who don't have the influence to negotiate for a different deal.
Glenn Weiss picked up more than just a mere Emmy last night. He also won a fiancé. The director, who collected an award for directing a variety of specials, proposed to his girlfriend on stage. Needless to say, Jan Syverson said yes. The entire crowd erupted in applause. Some, even in the audience, broke out in tears. Jan Syverson said that her new engagement ring was, in fact, his mother's.
Well, the warm and bright weather continued here in Oxford today, but there was a slight breeze in the air. I wonder if that is a sign of cooler temperatures on the way.
Hope so. Some fall weather would definitely be nice. Delia Van de Velde will let us know if the sun is here to stay in her extended forecast coming up next on Stormwatch.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
Did you put a new dent in that?
This one? No.
Were you texting and driving again?
Yes.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Dad.
Sorry about your bumper.
Good evening and welcome back to Stormwatch. We are currently looking at a temperature of 91 degrees with mostly sunny skies, some light and variable winds, and no chance of rain. As we take a look at the current satellite image, you can see that it's pretty clear across the map. Now taking a look at the temperatures across the map, you can see that Oxford's at 91 as well as Corinth, Tupelo and Holly Springs at 92, and South Haven at 93. As for tomorrow, the temperatures will be much like today with a high of 94 in Oxford and Corinth and South Haven, 93 in Holly Springs, and a high of 95 in Tupelo. For tonight, we can expect the temperature to drop down to around 68 degrees with clear skies and some more light winds. As for tomorrow, be prepared for a high of 94 degrees, mostly sunny, some light winds moving at 5 miles per hour, and a small 10% chance of rain.
Now, taking a look at the 5-day forecast, you can see that those temperatures will still remain in the upper 80s and 90s, and there is a good chance of rain moving in this weekend. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Delia. Although the Rebels lost to Bama last weekend, see what week they'll be taking them on next year, as the 2019 schedule was released today.
And the Lafayette High School has broken school history with their first Under Armour All-American. See who it was up next.
Don't ignore the subtext. It's on us to intervene in sexual assault. Because we can. Take the pledge at itsonus.org.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Welcome to Sports Watch. I'm Maddie Bierster. More football news for Ole Miss today as the 2019 football schedule was announced this afternoon. There are 14 playing weekends and 2 open dates for Ole Miss planned this far. The Rebels season opener will kick off at Memphis August 31st to start the season. This season will include 7 home games and 5 scheduled away games. Each SEC team will play 8 conference football games to include 6 games against division opponents and 2 games against non-division opponents. The 2019 season will conclude with the SEC championship game at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta on Saturday, December 7th. The completed 2019 schedule can be found on SEC's official website. And the football news continues as the game time is set for kickoff against LSU in Death Valley. After a Rebel loss to Alabama this past weekend, 62-7, and LSU being 3-0 after a victory over Auburn on Saturday, the Bayou Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow has thrown 3 touchdowns on the season, and the Tigers host Louisiana Tech this weekend, and the Rebels return to action this Saturday as they welcome Kent State into the Vaught at 11 a.m. The Magnolia Bowl is slated for an 8:15 kickoff that following weekend on the 29th. Switching to local football news, as Lafayette High School's Brandon Turnage was selected as the school's first Under Armour All-American in school history this week. Turnage is second on the team with 22 solo tackles and leads the team with 3 interceptions on offense sparingly but effectively. He also leads the team with 88 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. Even though National Signing Day is 3 months away, Turnage is holding firm with his verbal commitment to Alabama and plans to sign with the Crimson Tide in December. Turnage said, "I'm just really glad to compete with some of the top athletes in the nation. It's a great opportunity and I can prove a lot to people." The Under Armour game will take place at the Camping World Stadium in Orlando on January 3rd and will be televised on ESPN2. Player Mimi Reed dealt with a lot of adversity her first year on the Ole Miss women's basketball team. She had a season-ending injury before the start of last season and faced a huge roster and coaching overhaul over the summer. NewsWatch reporter Thomas Gores shows us why she's still committed to the team.
Mimi Reed is a redshirt freshman from the Bronx. Last year, during her first practice, she suffered a torn Achilles, ending her freshman season before it even started.
When it happened, it was devastating. When I found out, I probably wanted to go home that same day. Yeah.
Since her injury, Mimi has been working tirelessly to get back on the court. Coach Tony Green is a new coach in the basketball team this season. Green says that watching Mimi's comeback has been inspirational.
I think she has a great story. I think she's going to have a good career. And I think she's a very tough and determined person. And that's real inspiring to me to see kids fight through something like that.
The season-ending injury wasn't the only adversity Mimi faced. After the university parted ways with last year's coaching staff, Mimi faced the challenge of starting over with a brand new team. Many players decided to transfer after the coaching change, but Mimi decided to stay put.
I stayed because I never started, so I'm not going to leave someplace where I came because, one, I love the place, I love the facilities, I love everything about what Ole Miss has to offer aside from basketball. So I stayed because I needed to start.
Mimi Reed and the Ole Miss women's basketball team plan to dribble into the start of this season November 6th against Norfolk State. Thomas Gores, NewsWatch Ole Miss.
The basketball team will tip off their season on November 2nd here in Oxford. Well, that's all for Sports Watch for today. Be sure to follow our Twitter at NewsWatch_UM for all your sports updates. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Maddie. Up next, find out which national day it is and why it's one of the cheesiest.
Stay tuned to see how restaurant trains are looking to meet up to your food expectations.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
When I get all steamed up, then I shout,
Tip me over and pour me out. Oh.
It only takes a moment to make a moment.
Cheers.
Take time to be a dad today.
We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are distinguished as a Carnegie R1 top 2.5% research institution. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
They gave me Vicodin after my knee surgery. They kept prescribing it, so I kept taking it. I didn't know it would be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
Well, if you need an excuse to eat a burger today, then we've got one for you. Today is National Cheeseburger Day, and many restaurants around the country are celebrating with discounts and free burgers.
Wendy's is celebrating all month long by giving away a Dave's single with any purchase, available only to those who have the Wendy's app. Every Tuesday is National Cheeseburger Day for Sonic, as you can get a half-price cheeseburger after 5 p.m. And finally, if you ever wanted pancakes with your burger, IHOP is offering a free side of 2 buttermilk or pumpkin spice pancakes with the order of the ultimate steak burger.
Well, I could go for a free burger. What about you guys?
I don't know. I'm thinking it's a little too hot. What do you think, Adelia?
I can always eat a burger, but yes, it will be hot the rest of the week, and we can expect some rain moving in around Thursday or Friday.
Not rain. Ugh. Thank you.
Well, that's all we have for tonight. Thank you for tuning in to NewsWatch Ole Miss. I'm Lauren Conley.
Be sure to join us here again tomorrow night at 5 and on NewsWatchOleMiss.com. I'm Cassidy Biss. Thank you and good night.